Hello, this is Curiosity back with another argument against free will. So this one again is going to be another intuition pump kind of an argument so that you gradually and slowly grasp the whole concept of no free will. I'm utilizing your lack of free will so that you understand your lack of free will. Okay, so let's get straight into it. The mind argument. Okay, again, I've modified Van and Wagen's original version of the argument because it wasn't sound enough. Imagine a device, the salient features of which are a red light, a green light, and a button. When one presses the button, there is an objective probability of 1 that either the red light or green light will flash, but an objective probability of less than 1 that the red light will flash, and an objective probability of less than 1 that the green light will flash. Now, suppose that you must press the button on this mechanism. Do you have any choice about which of the lights will flash? Not really. Something outside your control decides the color of the light. Now take the whole system and hook it up in the brain of a thief in such a way that if it flashes green, he will steal the money, and if it flashes red, he will repent. And suppose that is coming to be in a state of uncertainty about whether to steal or to repent. The indeterminacy has the effect of pressing the button. Now, to be noted, this is actually impossible to have a purely indeterministic system implanted inside a brain because of reasons I discuss in the second last timestamp of the video that I'm showing above. In fact, I've covered a lot of things related to this argument in that timestamp. Go watch it. Now, even if you think it is possible just to entertain the libertarian free willists, imagine that this red-green device is replaced by minute alterations into a functionally equivalent natural part of the brain. Suppose scientists genetically engineer a part of the brain that naturally behaves like this device. The button is pressed during decision uncertainty, and although it's actually deterministic, for sake of argument, let's suppose that a roulette wheel kind of an indeterministic system decides whether the light goes green or red. Does that give him free will? Relying on the roulette wheel? Now, do you see any difference between the implanted natural device and the natural brain of the individual itself? Now, do you think now the thief has libertarian free will? If no, how about say that the free will act happens not during decision uncertainty, but during the lighting of the bulb? But then, two questions arise. How is indeterminacy involved here during the decision-making process? Remember, even causal libertarianism says that indeterminacy is involved during the decision-making process, but when the roulette wheel has already decided the color of the light, it's a determined event and it's an antecedent indeterministic roulette wheel that has decided the color. And the second question is, what caused the pressing of the button? The pressing of the button is what causes the roulette wheel process. For an even causal libertarian, the pressing of the button is done by the list of all agent involving mental states and events, which is not the agent himself. And another question is how all those mental states and events come about in the first place, and why those exact mental states and events and not others. Do you see freedom there? How is freedom dependent on mental states and events? See the irony and the oxymoron there? Now, finally, you could say that the decision making occurs during the roulette wheel indeterministic process. If that is the case, again, what caused the button to be pressed? Also, how does relying on quantum indeterminacy or supposed roulette wheel kind indeterministic events equate to freedom of an individual's will? How's the result of quantum indeterminacy events up to that individual? Now, talking about agent causal libertarianism, scientifically, it's a joke. Moving forward, I will decide whether or not to make a video specifically for agent causal libertarianism, depending on whether I would have already blatantly debunked it. I should use the word obliterated rather. But you guys can suggest as well in the comments below. Now, I've mostly been asking questions throughout this argument, but to conclude, the truth is that in no stage of the device arrangement does it give the individual the chance to claim that those decisions are up to him and of his own free will. Placing the decision-making process gives us free will in none of the positions in the timeline. Relying on indeterminacy or randomness only gives us randomness. It doesn't give us our cherished freedom of our will. Even causal libertarianism tries to include both causality and indeterminism. Both of these elements help refuting their own case. Finally, none of the accounts of libertarian free will are scientifically sound, and none of them provide scientific evidence for their case being true. Now, it should be clear that the thief has no choice about whether to steal or to repent. Given indeterminism, the thief does not have any choice or any role in which light will flash or which neural pathways fire corresponding to a decision after the button is pressed. To make it clear, the mind argument is just another argument refuting free will by showing how indeterminism is incompatible with free will. Keep following my series on arguments on free will or philosophy of free will. Stay tuned and stay curious. I'll see you in the next argument.